My name is Zach, and in this video, we're going to talk about the new formula field in the visual formula editor in Layer 4. So let's get started. I have an example project here where I have a list of products. And if I click on these products and scroll down to the bottom here, you can see I have different relationship fields that are set up. Each one of these products can tie to a vendor. Each one of these products is automatically finding relationships to furniture inside of the model. And each one of these products can be tied to an actual room type. For example, if I click on this armless lounge chair, you can see that it's tied to an actual classroom here. So these relationships between categories show the actual an actual tie between this specific item in the vendor category, these specific items in the furniture category, and this specific item in the room types category. What we can do with formula fields is we can start to work with these relationships and specific data within them. Let's say, for example, I wanted to create a field on each one of these products that pulled out the website from each one of these vendors. I could quickly do that by creating a new field. And you can see that under relationships, I have all of these pre-existing relationships that are created, and all I have to do is kind of dive in to one of them, like the vendor, and say, okay, I actually want to show the website. And we can call this the vendor website, and we can create that field to show that vendor website on each one of these records. So you can see now it's pulling those vendors here. What happened though behind that is this actually created a formula field that had a preset formula in it based on the field that I selected. And so you can see here, if I go to the field settings, this vendor website has a formula listed here, vendor.website. If I go to edit formula, this will open up the new formula editor inside of Layer. And this is where you can actually customize the formula that's created. So here, this is pulling in the vendor relationship. If I hover on these items, let's find one that actually has a vendor on it. There we go. You can see that if I hover on these items, it's going to show me a preview of the value that's kind of flowing through that item. So in this case, it's a relationship to the Haworth element. And from there, I can take and actually pull out a specific property from that element. So in this case, we're pulling out the website, and you can see it's showing me what website's coming out of it. From there, we're tying this into the result node, which spits out the actual result to the field itself. Okay, so a few things to note inside of this formula editor. Number one, a few of the controls here. We can enlarge this to make this go full screen. We can undo and redo steps that we've taken, as well as clear out the formula later. So I'll show you here just how we can construct this formula from scratch. And we'll do that by clicking this button to clear the formula. And I'm going to start by adding a formula node that looks at that vendor list. So when I click on the add formula node button, this is where I can search to find a field reference. So in this case, I'm going to grab the vendor field. And now I can, again, start to dig into this specifically. So if I click on this button, this plus button next to vendor, this will let me dive deeper into that category. And this is where I can search for any fields that exist within the vendor itself. So let's grab the website. And you can see that now this is pulling in the actual website for me. What's nice about this editor too is that all we have to do is hit enter, and we can continue kind of diving deeper into these nodes. Like, for example, maybe I want to grab the first letter or the first value. We can do that, and I can plug that into the result. So you can see that this is the website that's resulting from this item. But down here, you'll notice that we have a few configurations that we can play with. Number one, the preview element allows me to choose what item in this category that I want to preview the formula through. So let's say, for example, I want to use the L desk or the conference table that has a vendor. You can see that the preview of that element is different. It's showing me this is null, and it's showing me the website, and then I can tie that into the result. So this gives you the ability to kind of preview how this is going to look on different items. On the right-hand side, we have the ability to edit the format of the result. So in this case, this is completely dependent on the value type that's coming out of the formula. So in this case, what's coming out of it is text. So I can format the text accordingly. But let's say that I actually wanted to instead get the length. I can do a count. You can see that the output is a number. If I plug that into my result, now the format will take a number. So I can choose what the type is, decimal places, etc. So those formats are dependent on the values coming out of the formula. Once I save this, and I'm gonna go back to just pulling in the website and delete this. There we go. Once I save this, this formula is what's going to be used on every item inside of this category. So let's do another example from scratch here. Let's say instead of just pulling like the website, I actually want to look at all of the model furniture that are related to each one of these items, and I want to count them up. So I can do that by creating a new field. So I'm going to go to Edit Fields. We're going to create a new formula field, and I'm going to say model quantity. So now I'm going to edit the formula. I can add my first node by clicking on this plus button here, and we can start by grabbing the relationship field itself. So the relationship field that I created is called model furniture. And so when I select that, you can see up here, this is the node that comes in. If I hit enter again, it'll let me just continue nesting into this item. And really all I want to do is grab the length of this list, because that's basically what I'm doing, is grabbing the count here. So you can see when I preview this, the preview says I have 42 items in this training table. So all I have to do is tie this into my results. And by the way, a few helpful tools down here. You can zoom all nodes here, and you can also auto arrange the nodes, which pulls them all together and makes it nice and neat. And now we can save this property, create the field, and now every product is going to count up the quantities here. I can add that field to my table here, and you can see that now it's going to show me my model quantity for each one of these products. Let's take this a step further, and let's say that for each of these items, I want to know the quantity of them in my model by room. I'm going to create another field, another formula field, and I'm going to call quantity by room, and we're going to edit the formula. And so here, I'm going to add my formula node. We're going to start by grabbing the model furniture category again. Inside of each instance of model furniture, what I want to grab is the room that it's related to. This is the spatial relationship field inside of my model furniture category. And so I'm going to grab that room. And you can see if I start to preview this, you can see that I have these table seminars, table seminar read elements. And if I bring it down to the room, you can see what room they're in specifically. Right now, if I connect this to my result though, all it's going to do is give me a big long list of every single room. So I have a ton of repeats. What we're going to do is I'm going to use the unique node by clicking the plus button here, and we'll call and grab a unique node here. What unique does is it only pulls out from any list, it pulls out the unique items within that list. So you can see here now, if I connect this to my result, I now get a list of each of the rooms that they're in with no repeats. Now, what I'm missing still is actually want to know the quantity of each one of these pieces of furniture by room. What I can do is when I use a unique node, I can actually go into my format and I can click on show quantity. Now, what show quantity does is now it will tell me, yes, instruction 108, there's a training table in there, and there's 15 of them. There's 6 of them in instruction 106. There's 15 of them in 105, etc. So now that I have that set, I can save that formula, create the field, and now we can show that quantity by room on my table, and you can see that now it's going to show me specifically how many of these exist in each room. So I can get a really quick snapshot of all of that information. Okay, now I want to show you a major improvement that we've made with formulas in this new formula field, and that is the ability to look up data across multiple logical steps or categories. So I'll show you an example of that. Let's say I wanted to sum up the total cost of furniture by department. And what I wanted to use is I wanted to use the quantities of that furniture that are modeled in my Revit model. And I want to use the cost or the unit cost coming from my products table here. And so I'm just going to quickly show you how the relationships are structured, and then we'll jump into setting up the actual formula itself. So in these departments, if I click on learning, you can see that every department has a relationship to rooms. So in this case, it's showing me every room that's related or inside of this department, and I have 19 of them. So let's click on one of these rooms. When I go to instruction 108 and I scroll down, you can see that inside of each of these rooms, I have a relationship that's pulling out, a spatial relationship that's pulling out all of the furniture for those rooms. So in this case, it's showing me every instance of furniture inside of this room. Okay, so now I'm going to click on, a piece of related furniture. You can see that it's going to take me to this specific table in this specific room. And if I scroll down here, you can see that I have a relationship that ties this back to the actual product itself. So here, this is tying back to the training table product. And if I click on that product, it's going to take me to these product details where I have my unit cost listed. Okay, so you can see that up at the top here, we went from our department learning to the room inside of that department to the instance of furniture inside of that room to the actual product spec tied to that piece of furniture. So if we come back up to our department, I can create a field, a formula field, to total up the estimated cost of my furniture here by creating a formula field, and we'll just call this furniture costs, and I'll edit this formula. Okay, so since I'm in my departments, what I need to do first is I need to dig into my rooms. So I'm going to grab my rooms node. I'm going to hit enter, which will just let me keep digging deeper into this rooms node. And I'm going to grab the actual furniture here. So now I'm in each one of my rooms. Each room, I'm looking at the furniture instances itself. I'm going to keep digging here, and we're going to go in each piece of furniture. We're going to look at the product that it's related to. And inside of the product, if I keep hitting enter, I'm going to grab the unit cost. Okay, so if I look at this formula and just like preview the results, this is my list of rooms. In each one of these lists of rooms, here are my furniture instances. For each furniture instance, we're looking at the product details, and I'm getting the unit cost from all of those products. So now this is just a big list of numbers. The last step that I need to do is I can grab a sum node, and I can sum up all of those values for unit cost. Now, if I connect this to my result, you can see that it spits out a number, and I can further refine this with my formatting and say, okay, this is a currency, and let's show no decimal places. We can set the currency code as well. Okay, so when I save this and create the field, now you can see that each department is going to total up all of the furniture costs related to this. If I create a new department, called shared spaces, all I have to do is set the tag that is going to automatically relate rooms to this item. So in this case, I'm going to type conference. And you can see what happens is it finds what rooms are related to this department. It looks for all of the instances of furniture in each of those rooms, and it grabs the unit cost of those pieces of furniture from the product spec and gives me the total cost of these items. So we think Formula Field is super powerful, and we're really excited to see what you build with it.